Have y'all heard about latte makeup? Sometime over this weekend, if you're paying attention, this weekend was kind of a weird weekend for us in the United States. Lots been on my mind. And I started thinking about latte makeup for some reason. And I was like, I never participated in the trend, and now I want to. So that's what I'm gonna do today. And we'll kind of discuss my feelings on like these kind of makeup trends and whatever as we go, because I feel like I'm a perfect candidate to talk about latte makeup. That's the makeup that I do. Those are the makeup items that I love. I feel very qualified. I'm gonna start prepping my lips with this lip injector thing from Dr. Dennis Gross. I'm gonna prime my face with the Victoria Beckham priming moisturizer in the shade Golden, kind of getting us started in that going towards a more golden brown situation. But I feel like the one thing I will bring to this that I feel like a lot of other people did it, I like a cool toned brown. And I feel like this trend really heavily relied on like, not so much like latte makeup, but kind of like caramel makeup was really like more of the vibe to me. I'm almost done with this, I think. So I would love if we, no, it's like I would love if we finished it on camera together, but I don't think that was what's gonna happen. These trends, I feel like we can kind of like blame TikTok for the expedition of these trends. Is that the right? Because an expedition is like a journey. Can you use expedition as like something that quickens something? Expedited. It expedites these trends. I don't know. People always have such big feelings about them. I think sometimes people are, I guess, within their right to feel some kind of way about certain trends, especially if they are like appropriating certain cultures or whatever. Strawberry girl makeup or cold girl makeup. I don't understand why can't people just explore makeup in these different ways. And I kind of agree with Kelly Gooch about this. It's like a lot of the times these trends are mostly about like bringing your attention back to your makeup collection, because a lot of the times when you see these trends on TikTok, and I'm, to be fair to people on TikTok, I'm not on makeup TikTok. The only kind of makeup TikToks that show up on my feed are the ones that are like fails, or like I have been getting a lot of like the brow blindness videos now, and as someone who went through many phases of eyebrows, now to not having any eyebrows, I understand, because I think my worst brow version of my eyebrow when I had eyebrows was whenever I had only shaved off my tail of my eyebrows and I was drawing them in. Sometimes I would draw that tail of my brow all the way into my hairline. I mean, and it was fun. Like, and I don't regret it. Like, did it look good in retrospect? Not really. Sometimes these trends sometimes will get a little out of hand, where it's like people will start telling people that they're doing it wrong. I think if people are looking at their makeup collection and using stuff that they already have to try to participate in a trend or to make it a twist on and do it their own way, I think it's a net positive for people who love makeup content. Because what I try to do here, our makeup collections, most of us have a complete makeup collection. Sometimes our collections are bigger than other people's collections, and that's like, I always say like we're welcome to navigate the beauty space however we see fit. And I think like the size of your makeup collection is like ultimately really up to you. I think if we see more content where people are focusing on using their makeup in fun ways, that's like ultimately really good, because if it inspires people to just use makeup that they already have instead of being like hearing about a new product that's really good. And I think product reviews are really, really valuable whenever like everyone's content solely revolves around new makeup. It's like overwhelming when you're on the other end. I know, because I have been there, and I also like understand the compulsion of content creators to talk about new things. One, because there's so many new things to talk about. But when you're on this side of things and you're reviewing makeup and you are someone who has the privilege to be able to keep up with all of the new releases and try them and review them, the way you view it, it's like, well, I have to get a review out because people might be interested in buying it. And like, it's really ultimately on the people who are watching our channels whether or not they are spending their money wisely and buying things based on their income. Like, do they have the money for it, or are they out of control? That's not really on the content creator. But I think, having content up where it's like not about the new makeup releases and normalizing just using stuff that you already have in your makeup collection is just like, I don't know. I just think that's just really, really good. I'm not always like the best about like making content explicitly with, makeup I already own. We're going to be using some new palettes in here. Most of what I'm using today is stuff I've used on my channel. I'll have it all linked down below. When we get to the more like latte inspired stuff, I'll talk about that a little bit more. I like watching people use their makeup. To me, project like panning and stuff, that's hard to do. And honestly, project panning content isn't my favorite thing to watch. Now, we are all allowed to like different kinds of content, right? I'm not saying project panning content is bad. I think project panning content is really good in the same way that like participating in makeup trends with using what you already own is good. It's like showing people how long it might take to actually use up a piece of makeup is really invaluable, especially whenever you're like new to makeup and you don't know how long it takes to use something up. I think that's useful information. Like, I think it's useful to know when someone is working on one singular eyeshadow all year, like how long it takes them to do that. Hearing them say that they are getting sick of it, I think is like a very realistic thing that happens whenever you're project panning. That's why this year I'm like, I talked about a couple products I would like to finish up at the beginning of the year, but I'm not doing like check-ins with my project pan if I even consider it that, because if I make it that kind of work, it's like I'm like gonna resent those products, and I don't want to resent my makeup because I'm like forcing myself to try to finish up certain things. And I think like that's important, right? Like, I've tried to do project panning content. I've watched project panning content, and it's like good for me to have tried and like to know those things, and I've seen those things, but like ultimately it's just like it's not for me. So like I think for me, seeing people like try trends with their makeup is really, really great. And I love seeing on camera when things look like this, or whenever someone opens up something and shows it to you and there's like pan in it, because it's like, oh wow, that person must really like that thing. I just think that's really great. And I think participating in trends, like if you really love brown makeup and like the latte trend comes around, you could be like, oh my god, I have been using all of this brown makeup forever. I love brown lipstick. You know, like you could just like, it's just an opportunity for you to continue to love on something. I think we like hear content creators talk about like staying relevant all the time, and like new products are a really great way to stay relevant. If you've been watching YouTube the last couple of years, especially like in the, well, almost explicitly in the makeup realm, is like no one watches tutorials. And like, I agree with that. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and watch how someone does something. Now, some of you might disagree with that, and some of you might really, really like it. However, something that you learn as a content creator, especially if people tell you the kind of content they say they want, and then you try to make that content, a lot of times the vocal minority is like what you're hearing, and then the people who regularly watch your channel for other content don't watch that kind of thing. So it's like people say they want tutorials, but I think ultimately what you really want is just like watch people put on makeup and have them chat with you, which is like a get ready with me. But I think if you add like a spice, like where you're like participating in a trend, it makes it just more enticing for people to watch. Let's talk about my first bit of latte makeup. It's from Lukey Beauty. This will be my highlighter today. This is their Dream Cheek in 1111. And so I chose this because of my highlighters, a lot of my highlighters have like a champagne kind of color to them, or a pinky kind of color to them. This is sold as a blush, but I also have another blush that I'm going to be using on top of this after I powder today. The thing about this that I like, it's kind of like a beigey highlighter, I guess blush also. But to me, it mostly just kind of adds a glow. But it adds a glow that I think has a little bit more of a brown to it. Whenever this latte trend was kind of going around and I was seeing people do it, they were keeping it really like matte. I have no intentions of keeping this look entirely matte. Maybe the eyeshadow I might, but I probably will, because I like a little bit of a razzle-dazzle. So I think having some highlight for me makes this trend more enticing. And this is why I feel like telling people that they're participating in a trend wrong is very funny to me. Another good example of a trend, this is like a dance trend on TikTok. The song Apple by Charlie XCX has like actually gone viral, and there's a dance to it. A lot of people get the counts wrong, and sometimes it's very frustrating to watch people get the counts wrong. If you're not rhythmically challenged, watching people struggle with rhythm is difficult. However, I would never comment nor stitch a video, do anything to that person who got the counts wrong, who was very clearly just having fun and wanting to participate in a trend, to tell them that they did the counts wrong. Like, who cares? It's a silly little dance we're doing on TikTok. No one's getting paid. There are no stakes. It's just a fun little dance. Telling someone that they've done it wrong it's only just shaming them for like wanting to be part of something. I think that that's such a shame because something that has come up on my channel a couple of times, I've not like really done a deep dive conversation about it because sometimes I get myself into a little bit of trouble when I get into like my own theories about things. I've talked about this and I've said this explicitly. We all belong to the beauty community if we love makeup. That's it. The only requirement to be in this space is that you love makeup. Not that you buy makeup, not how much makeup you buy, not how much makeup you pan, not how much makeup you use. If you love makeup and you only wear mascara, you're doing it right. You're in the beauty community, welcome. If you only put on mascara, you love mascara, you've tried 8,000 mascaras, and that's the only thing you wear, welcome. Welcome to the beauty community. You're welcome here. Like, that should be how it is. But I feel like a lot of, you know, the focus is like doing it right. And so going back to the dance example, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're doing it right. Like, let the people participate and have fun in it. So, like, who cares how latte makeup, how the trend started, how the first person who did it that put the name to the latte makeup trend, who cares if they said that they wouldn't use any highlight and they didn't want you to have glass skin when you do it? Whatever. I'm not going to do it that way because that's not how I like my makeup to look. But I still want to participate in the trend and have fun. And I just think that sometimes in this space, we, like, lose that. I sometimes get lost in, like, the thought that like I want my makeup collection to be small and I like feel like how do I fit into this space if I'm so critical and quick to move on from makeup, right? Like I just did the video earlier this week where I like went through all of the PR and things I bought for review and I like got rid of most of it, right? Like most of it I've decluttered and like it's actually already no longer in my house. It came, it went, it's over, right? And like but like I know that other people, it's like, sometimes I'm like, what are the expectations of people who watch my channel? Like, do they think it's weird that I do that? You know, like all those things like run through my mind, but it's like, no, this is like the space I'm creating for myself. And like sometimes when you're creating space for yourself, the way that looks from the outside doesn't like click right away. And it's okay. Like I'm never gonna be the person who sits up here and is like reviewing every single new thing. Not only that, it's like I simply don't want to review every new thing because it's like it's not every new thing that comes out is something that I think I would enjoy. That's the other thing about like being a review channel or like if you're doing a mostly reviews, you kind of lose getting to have preferences. Like you can have preferences, but you're going to review everything under the guise of like that's your preference instead of like reviewing things that will lean into your preference, because you will try things that they sound like they're designed for you to love and still dislike them. Because it's like I wouldn't want to review, like if I like, you know, if I was paying for it or getting it in PR, I don't want to review full coverage matte foundations. Like that's not something I want. That's not to say that there wouldn't be one that I would like at some point, but it's like I don't really want to waste my time doing that anyway because it's just like not my preferred thing. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like maybe this is just like a rant. When I was thinking about this, when I picked my bronzer for this look, I almost picked the Gucci bronzer, but it's like has that rosiness to it. Then I thought about the Chanel bronzer, and that bronzer has like a lot of red in it. And so I think this is just my most like neutral bronzer. I thought I had 4 bronzers. And I don't know what. So I have this one. I have the Gucci bronzer. And then I have the Chanel bronzer. This is the Surratt one. But I feel like whenever I did my declutter, I had 4. Maybe I was wrong. Anyway, I wanted to go with my most neutral bronzer because when I think of latte brown, like lattes that are brown, I feel like they go like milky. And I think that this is the closest to a milky colored bronzer I had. If I still had the one from Phytosurgeons, that would have been a better fit. But I think that this one will do, because anything that has too much like warmth in it, I can't think of a coffee latte beverage that would like make your coffee look more red, unless there maybe like I don't know a ton about coffee, and maybe there's like a specific kind of bean that would make your coffee more red. I don't know, but I figured avoiding that would be good. And then like I don't know, I don't feel like there would be like a pink hue to coffee for any reason, unless you were like, instead of using creamer, you were using like strawberry milk, I guess. Like that would be like I have no idea why your coffee would lean a little more rosy. So I think that this is just the one That would make the most sense for me. Anyway, I guess I only have 3 bronzers. Why did I think I had more than that? My own apology to a couple of you. Because I was like, oh, it seemed very, and I swear to God, before I said that, I had not had trouble finding this on the secondhand market. So this is the blush from Chanel that I used in a couple videos ago. And it's like this beige blush. It's the shade Ombre, and someone asked for the colorway. It's 608, and Chanel doesn't make this shade anymore. A couple years ago, Chanel like overhauled their blushes, and the only reason I know that is because I watched Michelle Wong be very sad that they reformulated and got rid of some of the shades. I don't know how Michelle felt about this shade in particular, but like, come on, that's a coffee blush if I've ever seen one. After I said that, and a couple of you were like, no, what? Help me find it. I went to go look for it myself and I couldn't find it. But like anytime I try to look for like images of this blush, I feel like, I swear to God, I feel like it was like I saw it on Mercari and stuff, but I guess I was wrong. I think there's also a blush in the current range that is like, it's not quite right, but it like looks close if I like, so I'm looking at my screen for too long and I'm like, wait, that is it. So I'm sorry, but you can always put like a Google alert, or like, I guess, I'm assuming that secondhand retailers, you can like eBay or something, you could like put in like an alert if like something like that comes up. I don't know if that's true. It feels like something you should be able to do. We live in 2024, which I think some of us forget. I forget that we live in 2024. I was gifted 2 palettes recently from bellabeautébar, which thank you bellabeautébar for sending these my way. So they sent me this. I didn't know. I don't actually. So I knew that they were sending me this is the Melted Mattes palette, which this has not launched yet, but we're allowed to talk about it. So they're launching this, I think, August 4th. Basically, something happened and it wasn't going to launch all at the same time, and now it's going to launch all at the same time. So the other stuff is on its way, but I think I might still use this palette today. They also sent this one. This is the Recently De-Influenced palette, which I don't think is going to work for today. I used this in a look yesterday, and this isn't a palette that I would have thought I would have had fun playing in. I really liked doing this. I like this palette. I'm very excited. I always am excited to play with a bellabeautébar palette, but like I'm more excited to play with this again than I was with Basic Witch, which I really liked, and I'm definitely more than Secret Garden. Very into it. Like I don't know who I am, but like I don't know. There's something about these colors that got me going for some reason. I don't know, like they really did. But let me show you the other palette. So my video concept today, I was actually torn between 2 videos, and I probably will still do the other one. I think I'm also late to the trend on that. So this is the bellabeautébar Melted Mattes palette, and I don't really ever do like strictly matte eyeshadow looks. However, mattes are integral to my looks. I like to build some structure with some mattes before I put my shimmer on. I love something that feels utilitarian. So here it is. It's gorgeous. Love the outside. I also like structurally, the palettes always feel very nice from bellabeautébar. They don't feel cheap, which is great, which is really nice. So I'm gonna hold this upside down for you. Ooh. So I wanted to do a brat look, and I wanted to use that. Ooh. We're not going to do it today, but I figured we could use some of these mattes before we put a shimmer down. And I haven't even selected my shimmer yet, so when I know, you'll know what shimmer I'm going to throw on. I'm also really excited that they made an all mattes palette. These are removable pans, so I can use them if I build my own palettes. And it has more color in it than my Viseart one. I haven't even used it. Anyway, I love bellabeautébar's mattes. I think this is a really smart move. One thing that I think a lot of, and I say this a lot, but I think it bears repeating. There's shimmer all over this lid, and now it's all over my pants. And I hope I don't get it all over this shirt, because I'm only going to be wearing this shirt in this video. So, something that I find that indie brands struggle with, which I find that luxury eyeshadows that are typically better at, is matte formulas. But bellabeautébar's mattes perform like the way I like a matte to perform. Buildable, easy to blend. Like they're just... So I'm actually very excited that they released a matte palette that's very very up my alley, I guess, would be the right thing to say. So I'm just going to be pulling from there. I'm going to set my eyeshadow base before we start putting some browns on here. So one thing that I think was also really great about the latte trend is most people are going to have some basic brown eyeshadows. If you have an eyeshadow palette, you're going to have basic browns, unless you're someone who only like has really colorful eyeshadow palettes. But I'm thinking about the trend from someone who like can afford to have a large makeup collection, or, you know, like a 13-year-old who wants to participate in the trend. The likelihood of most people who are interested in makeup having brown eyeshadows that are going to work on their complexion, like that feels like you're going to have that, right? Like that's just like a staple. Even if you didn't do it on purpose, you're going to probably have it somewhere. Or if you have a bronzer, that's perfect. You can use that for the trend. Whenever we talk about these trends, it's like making it more accessible to people too. Again, as long as people aren't being rude about it and saying like, you're doing it wrong, which unfortunately, that's where we live. It's one of those funny things. And I think about this like in the gay community a lot. It's like people, you know, it's like, we're so welcoming, we're so welcoming, we're so welcoming, until you're not the right kind of gay. You're not the right kind of like queer person. It's like, oh, we want everyone to participate in this trend until we don't, until we want to be really judgmental about it. And listen, I'm not perfect. I love throwing a little shade, a little bit of judgment, right? It's a little bit of fun. Keep it to yourself, or keep it to people who are not going to tell the other people. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to gossip, don't like make fun of people. Just do it behind their back. God, I'm really glad that kids don't watch my channel, because I'd be like, don't do that, kids. Quick aside from the conversation, I went outside for a couple hours on Sunday, and I am still sneezing as if I've been outside. I have been full sneezing for the past 2 days. And I don't know if everyone else feels this way about sneezing, but I have some types of sneezes. And when I say I'm full out sneezing, most of the time I go, achoo. And like, you know, I try not to spit everywhere. You know, I have been sneezing where like, if it's so wet how much I sneeze when I'm sneezing these sneeze, it's almost as if there's like pollen inside of my nose that is tickling the side of my nose all day. And it's like, it's not like I could just go achoo. It's like a full body, like, like it's so disgusting. I'm so sick of sneezing. I'm so sick of it. Like every time I've sneezed today, yesterday I kind of expected it, but today I've been like, I'm filming this on Tuesday, so it was 2 days ago. I was like, you have no concept of when that happened. So let me get you caught up. It was 2 days ago when I was outside, and I'm freaking sneezing. I hate it. I hate being outside. I talked about this. I would love to be outside more, but I actually hate being outside. I like literally hate it. I did take one of my fans with me. The big, you know, the fans whenever I spray my face with setting spray. I took a couple with me and I like handed them out. We were in a pavilion, so, you know, it wasn't the most hot, but they were a big hit. Straight people love those fans. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know they made fans like this. And I was like, yeah, they certainly do. And then you have to be like, they'll be like, where did you get it? And then I had to say a brand name, and the brand name I have most of my fans from is called Dirt Squirrel. So I don't know how for them to figure that one out. It was also the first time a lot of my family was seeing my baby girl tattoo, because I wore a shirt where like it was kind of visible. And then my mom said, what does that mean? And then I was like, I don't really know how to explain baby girl to you. I was like, it's like more of a concept. It's more of a concept than something I could define for you. But also, maybe mom doesn't need to know what baby girl means, or what I want it to mean to me. My mom told me growing up, because I once jokingly, you know, said I wanted a sugar daddy, and my mom was like, you need to always make your own money, Tom, because what if something happens? And I think that's good advice. So if there are any sugar babies out there watching my channel, 1, why aren't you sharing the wealth with me? 2, make sure you're making your own money. That's all I'm saying. That's all my mom's saying. That's all I'm saying, you know? Would I actually heed that advice if I had the opportunity to have a sugar daddy? You know, one thing that I have to grapple with is that I'm now probably like too old to be a sugar baby. And that's really sad. And even if I somehow manage to be a sugar baby within the next couple of years, I'm gonna age out. You know, like I'm only this young for now, you know, I'm not gonna get any younger. You know, people used to say that, you know, whenever you heard people say that when you're younger, you're like, conceptually, it's like, okay, yeah, of course I'm not gonna get any younger. And then you're like older and you're like, I get it. I get it. Sorry, I know I was talking about trends and stuff, but now I'm talking about me. So something, this is actually kind of personal. So we're gonna go a little bit deep right now, but I'm not, don't worry, it's like not, it's like a psychological thing I thought about. When I was younger, like being gay or queer, like I couldn't date in high school, right? And this is something I actually never really thought about until obviously like a couple weeks ago when I was like, oh, interesting. I never really thought about that. But like mourning not having relationships in my like teen years and early 20s. And that's not to say that I think if I had relationships at that time that they like would have been good. That's not really what I mean. It's just like, you know, I'm never gonna be that young again, so I'm never gonna like at this point in my life, that's a never gonna happen, right? It's like I can't have, you know, a relationship in my teens because I can't be a teen. Like I will never be a teen again. I'm gonna line my lids before we pick out a shimmer, and I'm gonna use Cocoa from Victoria Beckham. I am gonna sharpen it because it did scratch my eye a little bit yesterday when I used it, which was not the tea. And I just like to, if I'm doing my eye look after I've already done complexion and I'm going to put a shimmer on, I like to do my eyeliner before I put on the shimmer. Whenever there's shimmer already on your eyes, it will like fuss with it and sometimes it causes things to fall. But look at the blend from the bellabeautébar palette. Oop, and I think like the chromes are coming to me. I don't know if they're called the melted chromes. They're chromes. And then there's another thing coming. Blushes, I think? I'm gonna have a blush palette. We'll see how I feel about that. We'll see if, I guess I haven't had a blush palette in a while, so we'll see if my feelings have changed on that, but I'm not normally pro palette when it comes to blushes. All right, cool. I think I told everyone this, or maybe I think I did, but I think it was in Critical Sass, so in case you didn't watch, I had asked a couple videos ago, or a couple weeks ago, about single palette compacts, and everyone was like, Glaminatrix makes ones for round pans. So I got a couple. So I did also buy a couple shades from Glaminatrix, and I put some singles in them, and I don't think I have anything that would be appropriate for this look. And that's gray. Oh, I just looked and I saw my Phytosurgeon's eyeshadows looking at me. Crystal Constellation, I think, would be a great candidate for this eye look. Sorry if I caused anyone existential dread by talking about how I'll never have teenage love or early 20s love. And it's not that I feel like I really like lost out, you know. Again, like I don't think that those would have been good relationships. It's just like thinking about how like that never is a part of my journey. It's just, I guess, interesting to think about. Sorry if I started making people who weren't thinking about that at all start thinking about that. That wasn't really my intention. I was just kind of like sharing. But you know how sometimes whenever sometimes when you have a thought and you share it and it's not really meant to like send someone else into a spiral, and then it does because it's like they hadn't thought about things like that. That was perfect. I have a brown mascara right now. I would say it mostly reads as a black, but I have dark chocolate in the 3D eye enhancing mascara from CoverGirl. Like I said in that Reckoning video, I'm wondering if I will love these at some point, but they are still a very wet formula. Like I also said, sometimes it makes my lashes look so good. It's mostly clumping them up today. Well, that's the look. As I said, you can't do a trend wrong. I think just participating in it however you want. And so we're going to say that the clumpy lash was a choice. I also was sent mascara from bellabeautébar, but I think I'm going to hold off on opening that for a bit. I know it's like a new launch, but I have these two mascaras going right now, and they're kind of my experiment where it's like, will I like them? And I just don't know the answer to that question yet. And I also don't know if I would like the bellabeautébar one any better, right? It makes a lot of claims though. Hold on, let me read the box of the bellabeautébar one before we put on lips. Big favor. Well, not big favor. If it's like, if you want to. So, I feel like I've talked about this on my channel before. Me and Tiff do a podcast. Tiff, who hasn't been on my channel in a very long time, they're my roommate. I've talked about, you know, I live with them and their child, and who's also now my child, also a little bit, sort of, you know. I mean, not really, but, you know, he's canon my child. We joke about that. Anyway, we had recorded some episodes of our podcast, which we hadn't done in a while, and we went to upload it to Spotify, which has been what we had hosted it because it's a music podcast. So Spotify was like allowing us to use the full songs, and like everyone still got paid, you know, the artist got paid. I mean, we don't get paid for doing Recollect. That's like a passion project for us. We are now moving to YouTube because Spotify got rid of the feature where we could use music in our podcast. And so we moved to YouTube because YouTube will let us do that. We can't make money off of it. But again, it's not like we were making money off of it in the previous iteration. And we're going to start doing video podcasts. But if you've never listened to the podcast, I'm uploading the archive to that YouTube channel. I'll link it down below. I think I need to update the Recollect link before I post this. So that's a me problem. That's not a you problem. But I will also put it in the pinned comment if you want to check that out. I will say this, if you go listen to the episodes I'm posting, they're old. Like, they're from 2020, which, like, doesn't feel that long ago, but neither Tiff nor I were using the pronouns we currently use at that time, so you'll hear us, like, using the wrong pronouns. Anyway, let me read the bellabeautébar mascara promises. It says, a universal mascara with a unique brush. Ooh, I don't know what the brush looks like. To lift, lengthen, and volumize every lash type for a lush look. Sounds promising. I got so much mascara on my lid, and it's just like I can see the remnants of it, and it's bothering me. It's fine. Me and that CoverGirl mascara, we're fighting to the bitter end. For lip liner, I chose Endless Cacao from Makeup Forever. And then for lipstick, I'm going to use Natasha Denona I Need a Nude in Noah. And that's my little take on the latte trend from a year ago. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It really didn't have a structure other than I was trying to participate in a really old trend. I guess I got to show you some new things, and I got to, like, get some things off my chest. I'm not sure it's a coherent thing that I've said during this whole time. But anyway, that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, I think I did enough in this video to kind of give you the vibe of what I'm trying to do on my channel. So if all of that sounds good to you, I'd love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships. You can check those out if you'd like. I do some additional content over there. There's no pressure to join my Patreon. It's just a different way to support me, not necessarily a better way to support me. In my links down below, I have linked to a GoFundMe to help a family in Gaza. Please do that if you have the means to. And that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow your haute, and you'll find me. Go to the Recollect YouTube channel to check out the future things we have coming there and listen to the archive. I appreciate you all so much. Go forth. Tits out.